All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode. Unfortunately, we had to re-record this because my audio got borked last time. So let me bring in my peanut gallery. Say something, Jared.
What's up? I've been just really enjoying the internet today.
You certainly have. So so we're going back into this, and we're on Zepho now, and my character Cal is trying to get to this vault thingy, and
So basically, what this is just going to be is Nick and I talking back and forth while we watch this gameplay. Hopefully, next week we'll have better audio. It's just say we're just starting doing this type of content, so it's gonna be a little wonky in the beginning.
yeah, we're working on it. And this one, I thought I had progressed, but then I figured, oh, I gotta meditate again.
Yeah. Apparently, the game hadn't saved yet.
Well, it's saved, but like I had, there was like a cutscene trigger that happens after this, and because
Okay.
I had quit, the cutscene didn't trigger, so I had to like save and then go for this cutscene to trigger.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, he is adorable.
Yeah, that is an adorable. I think they have a life-size version of that.
I mean, it's Disney, so what do you expect? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Um, did you see the Mandalorian, the one that the BD unit that popped up in Book of Boba Fett?
I did.
That was really nice.
I'm not a big fan of of the BD units. I think it's just Disney
How
trying to
dare
make their
you?
own R2.
To be fair, BD is a better attempt at an R2 than Soccer Ball the droid.
Oh, you mean Dio?
No, whatever that the droid was for the sequel trilogy, I can't remember.
That was BD, I thought.
No, this is BD. This is a BD unit.
Oh, which was the droid in the one I'm thinking about is the sequel trilogy droid. That's what I'm talking about because I like this one. I'm sorry, I got confused.
Yeah, the Soccer Ball droid is the one from the sequel trilogy.
BB-8. That's the one from the sequel trilogy. I know we're gonna get fried in the comments for
Yeah,
that, but whatever.
yeah, that's a BB droid. This is a BD droid. Get your
Yeah,
acronyms right, brah.
that's what I was talking about. I was not a big fan of BB-8 because again, it's like because what Disney was trying to do with the sequel trilogy is they're trying because let's face it, Episode 7 was Episode 4 but reskinned.
Egg frickin' exactly.
It's like okay, we I like that you guys are actually so taken up by George's work that you are too creatively lazy to come up with new stuff, but at least do it well.
Yeah, and it's just like a soccer ball. It's just so freaking uninspired. At least BD1 has effort put into him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And also, he doesn't like roll around because it shows variety in droid locomotions. Beyond the fact
Yeah,
that a lot of that sequel trilogy is like horrible. I get the
yeah.
feeling
Let's
that they're going to start.
instead of instead of talking about the sequel trilogy, why don't we talk about like the game that I'm trying to play here?
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, this was one of the best. By the way, this game was one of the best modern Star Wars things to come out in a long time. This is up there with Mando.
Yeah, I agree. Though I'm kind of not choosing not to watch Mando season 3 at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I'm going to. I want to watch it.
I don't know. I'll probably wait till it's all said and done. I haven't heard good things, but you know.
Nah, we'll see what happens. But anyway,
Exactly.
my point is, for the most part, Mando's been pretty solid. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
as this. That's why I'm like, okay, Disney Star Wars hasn't been all bad. It's been mostly bad, but there have been like gems like this game because I like my one of my favorite eras is Clone Wars slash post Clone Wars before A New Hope because you really see like a lot of because I like the transition from the Republic to the Empire and particularly Jedi being hunted, and I like how that sort of changes the dynamic of these characters because before Jedi's were like this big badass group that as long as there's a Jedi around, you'll be fine. Now it's like, oh no, you'll be destroyed.
Yeah, because like the Dark Times era is like you said really interesting because it's a great intersection between prequels and the original trilogy. Because by the time of the original trilogy, you're really not expecting many Jedi to run around. Like one of the biggest plot holes is what was Ezra doing or like any of the Jedi characters that appear, like Ahsoka. What was he doing?
Well, maybe we'll find that on the Ahsoka series, which I'm genuinely excited for that because
Yeah,
apparently it's gonna have.
wasn't there a time skip for End of Rebels or something where they just transport like they basically skipped over the original trilogy? Because
I think
apparently
that
Ezra.
I think what happened was I think it took place for the most part maybe a little pre original trilogy, and then the last episode, like the last one, at the end of it, there's like this recap of like Sabine talking about what's happened since then. They talk about like the Battle of Endor.
Oh yeah, because I remember there's kind of like this Spider-Man is an Iron Man 2 style retcon where like I guess this old dude with like a white beard they retconned that into being like Captain Rex or something.
Yeah,
Is in
yeah, they did. Which I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
yeah. It's just I don't know. It's like
And here
30
is
years
his
after the
first
fact.
whiff.
Yeah, I really need to get like a death counter going for these episodes, like a
That'd be
little
so
ding.
much fun.
Yeah, that requires some editing tricks, but I can probably make. Oh, and this is where I get confused for a moment, and it's like the solution staring you down right there.
Yeah, well, I think I was even telling you, hey, Vine's on the wall, dude.
You really did. It's yeah. This is a fail on my part, and I am not afraid to admit it.
But yeah, I think
It's like looking back on the footage, it's literally right there.
yeah, I know. It's staring you right in the face. But I think what's cool is that yeah, the era is so fascinating. That's why Disney, a lot of their content has been that era. Like Andor was very much in the dark times,
Yeah, it is.
which Andor was so good, dude.
Yeah, I think the only thing that spoils Andor is knowing Rogue One and knowing he dies. You know, it kind of makes things a little bit
True.
eh.
True, but you get a little more of like of his motivations as a character in the movie, though. So it kind of explains a lot about
True.
him.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
But I love that show because I like when they do other things other than the Jedi save the world. Because honestly, the non-Force using characters are my favorite characters, like Mandalorians, clones, and like the spy characters. Because it's more because what they do is more skill. Because with the Jedi, it's just we'll just use the Force,
Yeah.
which is
Like
why my favorite
one of the
Star
things
Wars
that
game. Yeah, I'm sorry.
like
Go
you
ahead.
notice how whenever a Mandalorian is dealing with a Jedi, they'll always bust out the flamethrower. You know why
Hmm.
that is, right?
Yeah,
Because blaster bolts the Jedi can deflect, but the Jedi can't really reflect a burst of flame.
heck, that's why they have jetpacks. It was to get away from a lightsaber.
Yeah, and I think that's why some bounty hunters actually use slug throwers, aka traditional firearms.
Hmm. That's why, honestly, the Mandalorians are my favorite race in Star Wars because when you look into their history and you see how much they have adapted to like any threat that they face, it is
Hmm.
so cool.
Yeah, like I'd say they're kind of like the Star Wars equivalent of like space Vikings or whatever. Like they're that like
Space
every
Vikings, yes, or like ancient Spartans.
yeah. I mean every sci-fi series has like that one warrior race, whether it's like Klingons in Star Trek um
Or the Spartans or the elites from Halo.
or the Nietzsche in Andromeda.
Hmm.
That's a deep cut for you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, every sci-fi has to have like that proud warrior race, whatever. It's pretty much a trope at this point.
Yeah, but it's or the Turians in Mass Effect. But yeah, I
Yeah.
very much I like it because again, these guys were first off, these guys were all of the innovations that we love Boba Fett for. When you go into like his history, it was just to kill Jedi. That is just like so like wow. That's why I want content that's in the Mandalorian Wars. So maybe we could see some of that adaptation. We could see like the first Mandalorians use a jetpack, Revan getting the mask and all that.
I mean, honestly, you could do like a 7-season miniseries where it's like Jedi Civil War, Mandalorian Wars, and then the events of KOTOR.
Oh yeah, you
It's like,
absolutely could. Which I think we're primed to do so because content with Mandalorians does really well because of the show. So what could happen is that they could say, "Hey, you know what? The Mandalorian brand is really, really, really doing really well, and this is where you shock yourself. So how about
Oh, that's a shocking
clear?
turn of it.
So so how about we?
I
What's more?
this is a moment where I take my descent into drug use.
Yeah, and Filoni's like, hey, you know what? There is an era that's like all Mandalorians and they fight Jedi. Why don't we do some content in that era too?
Okay, since you mentioned Filoni, we have to mention this.
hmm
Did you hear what he said?
That Luke is not a Jedi,
My name's Luke Skywalker, and I was a Jedi like my father before me.
and he says it in episode what was it? Yeah,
Return of the Jedi. It's literally called Return of the Jedi. It's like, oh my god, it's just like I'm sure he has like some sort of like 4,000 IQ answer to that. Like, oh no, blah 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 blah. But no, that is such a brain dead thing to say. Like, because like saying that Luke was not a Jedi, basically completely negates the whole point of Return of the movie Return of the Jedi.
well, here's what he actually says. He trained when he was young, and yes, so did Luke. Yoda didn't confirm that he was a Jedi. Remember, he says, "Oh, you think you're a Jedi? Not so fast. You had to pass the trials." And he's like, defeat your father. You have to face Vader, and then you will be a Jedi." He did that, so he's a Jedi.
And it's like, and if you want, yeah, he's a Jedi, and he's like, you want to talk about non-standard knightings? Like, look at Kanan Jarrus. Kanan
Yeah.
Jarrus never took the trials, but he was knighted as a Jedi Knight.
Hey, this guy right here.
Yeah, yeah, he was knighted. You know, I
Which
mean, it's kind of spoilers
and
for this game.
remember,
So.
I believe it was Obi-Wan. If we're taking the old Clone Wars cartoons as canon, he was one of the people that convinced the council to forego the trials and make Anakin a knight.
Well, yeah, basically, it was kind of a similar to like, oh, because of this, and this, that's equivalent to this trial, that's equivalent to this trial. So he may not have taken the trials per se, but in a metaphorical sense, he did. You know.
Well, he essentially faced them informally, so I guess he's a Jedi. Plus the fact, if he's supposed to be the chosen one, why again? Kiadi Moody brings this up. Why are we holding him back?
Obi-Wan never took the trials.
Yeah, he never did. All he did was cut a Sith Lord in half and didn't even kill him.
Which, to be fair, I mean, if
As
you
a
weren't
Padawan,
knighted,
that's pretty boss move right there.
especially since the Sith hadn't been seen for 1,000 years, and he defeated one, so it's like, yeah, you're a Jedi now.
What's interesting, I was watching Comic Historian and they were doing a sort of rewatch retrospective of the prequel trilogy because this was during their Obi-Wan coverage. And what they were doing, one of the panelists was like saying it doesn't make sense that like in episode 2 the droids would like take out a ton of Jedi in the temple. And I'm like, not temple, arena. And I'm like, wait a second. Remember, the Jedi were peacekeepers. They were not used to an actual fight.
Well, are we talking Order 66?
No, I'm talking episode 2.
Okay, yeah, because most of them were peacekeepers. Now, if this was like Revenge of the Sith era, then a lot of the Jedi's were more used to combat by then, so the argument is not as valid. But if we're talking Attack of the Clones, it makes perfect sense why a lot of them, like, okay, this is where I get my butt handed to me a little bit.
Yeah. Plus, let's face it, a lot of them died in the actual combat, and they led a lot of clones to their deaths because they weren't used to actually sustained combat.
Yeah, like I think I read somewhere that most of the people that went there were trained in I think it was like Form 3 Naman, which is like the diplomat's form, which is like a little bit of everything, and pretty much all of them died.
Mm-hmm.
Or how familiar are you with the lightsaber forms?
Not that familiar.
Okay, you should look into it. It's actually a pretty interesting study. You know, looking at like what different people do, like whatnot. But there is one, but the ironic thing is, the most deadliest Jedi ever, Exar Kun, he was a Niman specialist.
Mm-hmm. That's ironic. He could save
Yeah,
others from death, but not himself. I'm like, I had to.
I knew exactly where you're going with that.
But yeah, they were not used to act. Remember, these weren't. Mace Windu says it in the movie. We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers. They were not used to actual combat. Plus the fact they had not been used en masse for thousands of years.
So, if we're gonna go by Legends continuity, so basically the last time they were used really in large scale combat was uh was basically the Battle of Rusan,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where they had like the Army of the Light being led by General Hoth. This is detailed in the event of the Darth Bane novel,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the last time there was like a large scale Jedi conflict. 1,000 years.
Yeah, thousands of years. So it wasn't like it was just if it was last week or like if this was in the Clone Wars, then yeah, you would have more of an argument. But I'm like,
Remember,
mm-hmm.
Yoda wasn't even born when this happened.
Yeah. Well, and this panelist's argument was, well, we've seen all these movies where we're like a Jedi will take out thousands of clones, and I'm like, well, it's because those ones specifically have plot armor. You can't you can't have a a
Okay,
droid
okay,
kill Anakin.
which ones are they specifically referencing? Like,
They're
are they
referencing like
referencing?
Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Well, first off, this is post episode 2, where the Jedi have militarized and mobilized a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's pre episode 2, you got to realize a lot of those are special cases. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, Obi-Wan was trained by Qui-Gon, who is, you know, not necessarily um
He was a
he had
great Jedi, if anything.
yeah, I mean, I know great Jedi's not technically canon, but he was a maverick at the very
Mm-hmm.
least. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing about Obi-Wan, I mean, Qui-Gon, he used a modified version of Form 4 Ataru, which is very like acrobatic, kind of style. Oh, here
Mm-hmm.
comes the flashback sequence. What he did is he took out a lot of the acrobatic portions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because Obi-Wan, after Episode 1, he became a Form 3 Sariso user, which is like defense. Because that's kind of one of the things about the Revenge of the Sith battle, because Anakin was a Form 5 Jim So user, which so basically the fight is like the ultimate defense user versus the ultimate offensive user. Like that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a dynamic of the fight.
Speaking of that fight, what was so great about that fight is that if you notice when they're swinging the swords around, they can't find an opening to attack because they both know each other's fighting styles so well because they fought alongside each other for like for like 10 plus years. So it's like when you're seeing it, they're
You are my
struggling to
brother, Anakin.
yeah,
I love you.
they were struggling to find places to like attack and holes in their defenses, and they're like, no, I can't because he'll do this, he'll do this, he'll do this.
Ultimately, Obi-Wan basically had to play into Anakin's arrogance to get the opening.
Yeah, exactly. He used hubris, and that's like any Sith's downfall when you think
You
about it.
underestimate my flower. You can't bake the cake,
I
Anakin.
saw this fantastic meme that was like, it was a school meme. It's like the teacher says, "You can't write an A-level paper in one day. You underestimate my power."
Oh,
I felt
we're
it.
going full anime now. This
Yeah, Attack on Titan.
I've never actually seen that anime, so
It's such a good one, dude.
dude, I've recommended so many animes to you and be like, I'll check it out at some point. So
I'm getting slowly into them. Okay, all right. But let's see what else can we talk about. Well, again, and what's cool, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the Jedi as characters, but they're kind of idiots because they created their own downfall that could easily have been avoided if they had not alienated their chosen one.
well, it's really honestly a lot of it falls upon two people, Mace and Yoda,
Yes.
because like and some of it does fall upon Obi-Wan. Like even if you look the other way, he should have come out to Anakin because like for example, I always love the thought experiment. What if like Qui-Gon had survived up until the event?
Yeah.
Because like I guarantee you, Qui-Gon Anakin would have opened up, and sure, Anakin might have left the Jedi Order, but he would have been fine. Like,
Yeah, if Qui-Gon had lived, I doubt Anakin would have fallen to the dark side.
because here's the thing, Anakin by this point is a freaking war hero. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like even if he's not in the Jedi Order, he's still a famous war hero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's even had his own Padawan at this point.
Like you know who left. You know, like you could argue they might not even uh take him out. You know, they might not. You know, if you know, kind of thing where he might have the lever to say, um, you know, I'm leaving the Jedi Order myself. I'm gonna raise my kids. Blah blah blah. You know, but yeah,
He might. In the Darth Vader comics, there was this vow that the Jedi take. I think it's called a Barris vow or something like that, where basically they go away from the. They're still Jedi, air quotes, but they don't like do it. They're forbidden from doing anything in the name of the Jedi Order. So that could very well be what they'll tell Anakin to do.
yeah. I mean, because like I mean, there's certain like it's not like it would basically be like you know that one novel where they had where basically where Asajj Ventress like she basically was like a gray Jedi and
Mm-hmm.
like they had her do a mission with uh who I can't remember who it was. You know what novel I'm
Quinlan
talking
Voss,
about? Yeah.
and they
So it'd
fell in
probably
love.
be like yeah, it'd probably be like that where like he's not in the Jedi, but like they might have work with him. Like for example, how Ahsoka wasn't in the Jedi Order, but during the events of Clone Wars, they still
Mm-hmm.
had her work, do missions and whatnot.
Yeah, they basically said she's a consultant for an invasion of Mandalore.
Yeah, so it'd be like that with Anakin, where you know he'd probably move to Naboo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, him and Padme would probably move to because remember her parents are royalty. You know,
Oh yeah, there's no way there'd be in a tiki hut somewhere. By the way, I also think Qui-Gon would have seen through Darth Sidious so well. He would have been like, yeah, that guy's a bad guy.
yeah. I mean, just remember, like I think it was kind of explained he had like this amulet or like this technique that suppressed his force abilities, like his
Mm-hmm.
dark side, whatever. So that's why they couldn't detect him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a feeling Qui Gon might have saw through it. But that's I don't know. I don't know
What
enough
they
to
could have
speculate on
done,
that
which
one.
would have been interesting, is if say Maul didn't kill him, what if Qui-Gon went to the went with the Masters to arrest Palpatine, and then he's the one who gets killed as Anakin walks up. So now Anakin hates Palpatine for killing his father figure.
Actually, I have a different scenario I want to play out.
Okay.
What if they do this, and Mace Windu gets killed, but it's Qui Gon who is the one with his um
With his saber at Palpatine's neck, in other words.
yeah
Hmm.
but he's
What do you
still
think
like
would
saying
happen there?
you know you might have Anakin, you might have you know what I would think is Qui Gon might be tempted to kill him, um, but he might be like, "You're right, Anakin. He will stand trial."
It's not the Jedi way. Yeah, exactly.
And then you could have him blow out the window. But I don't think, um, but I don't think Anakin would go the dark side at that point because he didn't kill Qui Gon. He talked him down. Qui Gon agreed with him. Then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, Star Wars Theory did a video where it doesn't even have to be Qui-Gon survives. It could be Qui-Gon's Force Ghost. You know that scene where Anakin is in the council chamber? He's looking across the city, and we see Padme. It's about the time he makes the choice to go to the to to Palpatine's chambers to save him from the Jedi. At that point, what Star Wars Theory said is that what could happen is Palpatine is Qui-Gon's Force Ghost shows up at that moment right before Anakin decides to disobey Mace Windu, and then he stops him and says, "No, no, no, no. Trust them. They will take care of this. This will not turn out the way you think it will."
Yeah, like I know there's some argument about like, did Sidious intentionally lose a fight, or like,
Mm-hmm.
or did he actually beat him? I think Windu could have beaten Sidious, because remember, Windu's style was Vapad, which was a flirtation with the dark side, which basically created a loop, which makes it especially effective against dark side users.
Yeah.
And also, you got to realize, Sidious was not necessarily a lightsaber practitioner. He was proficient, but it was not his main thing.
Yeah, he was a Force guy.
Yeah, there's a Force guy, but he's a hologram.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I definitely think that of all people, I think Mace Windu stood the best chance of actually defeating Palpatine. I think he would have.
I love those like Star Wars what if kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know,
me too.
Like for example, I guarantee you, if Anakin had not been disfigured on Mustafar, he would have killed the Emperor not too long after. And I think,
Oh yeah, always two, no more, no less. And then it turns into like, well, it's also the rule of two, where one will always kill the other.
yeah, I mean, it is the nature of things, you know. But the thing about Sidious was his downfall was he basically wanted to become the one Sith. Like the problem is whenever the Sith um disobey the rule of two, it's always their downfall.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Bane is. I think it was Darth Bane who established the rule of two, right?
Yes, that was during like the whole Jedi Sith War and whatnot, where you basically had the Sith Brotherhood, where it was kind of like this ironic thing where like the Sith were acting more like the Jedi, and the Jedi were acting more like the Sith, and Bane realized how weak the Sith had become because of their brotherhood, because if all Sith are equal, kind of thing. Freaking communists. So he basically devised the rule too. He had a revelation after consulting actually a Revan holocron.
Oh, there you go. Because I think the reason why I think the reason why Revan is such a popular Star Wars character is because
Duality of man. He is the anchor point between the light and the dark. That's why
exactly.
You always see him with those two sabers. He's holding the two sabers, purple and red, representing the two sides of him.
Yeah, and he's been on both sides, and he's like, no one side has all the answers. And that's why I think of all the characters that they really need to bring in, Revan's got to show up at one point.
Yeah, it's just he's such a big character. You got to do it right. So just like a one-off appearance, just really wouldn't work.
How about a mini series that's about him?
I mean, I'm all for it, but like the question is like, how do you go about doing it? Like, do you just adapt KOTOR, or do you like?
I'd say you adapt his stuff from the Mandalorian Wars, and since there's not a lot that's actually shown, you have a lot of leeway in terms of like what you can show.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Do you keep in the twist, or do you just like acknowledge like, okay, they know he's Revan, because the big twist of KOTOR is you were Revan the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, because
if we adapt KOTOR, I would keep that in.
Okay.
And you make it out like this character is this big, like, is turning into this big hero. Then all of a sudden, he's the bad guy. Well,
yeah, because that's going to be another thing. It's like, obviously they'll have like choices from the game, and it's like, how do you decide which choice is this Revan? It's like, are you doing dark side or light side Revan? Because remember,
I'd imagine they'd go with
dark side Revan. At one point, you can order Zalbar to kill the Cleo, I think her name is.
Her name is Mission. I know who you're talking about.
Mission. I'm sorry, but like Mission, you know how or anything, it's like, okay, have it your way. Every time she does that, I think of Burger King. Like, if I could mod KOTOR, I would literally make one of her outfits of like a Burger King outfit, and then
Burger
just
King
have
waitress.
Like, yes,
that'd be so good. But yeah,
I need to pay someone to mod that in and have my playthrough have that be your outfit.
I think what they would do if they were to adapt KOTOR with the whole choice system, I think they would have an equal number of both, but for the dark side, they would pick the choices that aren't necessarily like evil, but
So you're
more
not gonna
like
have
morally
Zalbar killing
ambiguous.
mission.
Yeah, you're not gonna have Zalbar kill mission. We'll probably do is like some stuff like I can't save everyone, or like some they'll have him say some dialogue options that are from the dark side.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the series to make it interesting is they keep it ambiguous. So like, oh, which way is he gonna go? And I think that's a good way to kind of keep an audience engaged week to week. Like, oh, is he gonna go down the path of the light or the dark? You know, that would kind of take a portion of the game, put it in. That's a great way to translate into the show is make it like a question as part of the narrative as a way to keep the audience engaged.
That's true because we know which way he's gonna go, but the general audience who's just learning who Revan is not gonna know.
Or like even like the super fans. If you keep it ambiguous enough, it becomes a question. Then you get theorizing and you get questions. You know,
It's like,
I,
will
I
they change this? Will they? Because remember, this will be Revan in canon. So will because they could conceivably change it so he's an actual bad guy.
yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
do
know.
that.
I don't know, but like I just think keeping it ambiguous, you know, I think would really help with making an engaging show.
Yeah, I would. I still think that they would 100% go good for Revan because here's the thing about Revan. He's also the best one of the best redemption stories in Star Wars. So you can't like have it where, oh yeah, he's still a dick.
I mean, I think they might at least do like neutral. Like I think he'll make some dark side choices, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
just enough kind of whatever. But I think it'll be a neutral ending. So yeah, as we're closing out, and we hardly even talked about the footage, so
It's fun. We had a nice podcast discussion. There wasn't much to talk about besides you falling off a cliff and
yeah. I mean, usually
missing
you're
vines that were on the wall.
usually you're more active with this kind of stuff, but honestly, we kept it on Star Wars, so I don't really mind, you know.
Yeah. Plus the fact there's plenty more of me heckling you when we actually get the sound thing like established and fixed.
Yeah, so by episode 3, we'll have it all fixed. The funny thing is, as we're recording this, episode 1 is supposed to be coming out tomorrow, so we're ahead of the game on this. So we got ourselves on the ball. It should be interesting.
Awesome. And tomorrow I have a collaboration with Wes from Thinking Critical.
Ooh, nice.
We talked about our favorite comic book runs.
That should be cool.
Should be really fun.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And by dropping the like, comment, subscribe to the Phoenix Press, and drop in the comments. How would you do a Darth Revan series? Would you keep it ambiguous?
Wait, real quick. I really like this moment because they bring in the Obi-Wan audio from Rebels. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah. I would have loved if instead of saying this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, if he just went, "Hello there."
The new Kenobi.
I know he won't, but that would be so funny.
One of these days, I know there's actually like a radio play version of Star Wars. We need to do that sometime.
That would be so much fun. There's also books that are like Star Wars, but in Shakespeare language.
That'd be interesting.
Why
is that? Why hast thou lightsaber not?
That was my brother, Anakin.
What? I'm trying to think. Crap. My Shakespeare's. I don't have my Shakespeare's not that good.
Well, the point is, we'll definitely do.
Wait, no.
Play.
I detest sand. It's coarse. It's rough.
There's a moment in the comics where Vader has a flashback, a sort of forced flashback to when he was a kid, and he's walking. He goes, sand. It's so good. I love how that's become his thing.
Yeah.
Here everything is coarse, is soft and smooth as he caresses Padme's arm after she repeatedly told him stop being creepy.
To be fair, here's kind of my if we're gonna talk about that kind of scene real quick. to be fair, Padme was kind of flirting with him back. You know, like that one scene where he was wearing the "Ask Me" dress. You
Yeah.
know,
You
like
mean every scene on Naboo?
no, like it's a low candlelight kind of thing.
Oh
To be
yeah,
fair,
that one. That
also
yeah,
to be fair, in that scene, she does kiss him,
true.
and
Yeah,
also, um, this is like after they had a whole day of them literally playing in the grass, and you know, it's like, oh.
rolling around in the grass. Yeah.
Though I do love they really hint at like Anakin's authoritarian leanings, you know.
Yes, in that conversation.
Yeah,
That's awesome. By the way, that's a badass lightsaber, man. I love that orange lightsaber. It just looks so cool.
I know I love orange lightsaber. You should see my lightsaber in SWOTOR. It is so cool.
Hmm.
I really wish we could play SWOTOR together, but like we were on different servers.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I got a really sweet Sith Juggernaut character.
How did we
I
do
got
it last time?
we created new characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. So we're just about done with this. We're gonna be right under the rye with this one. So yep, we do kind of a pre-recorded track with this one. Just wanted to thank everyone for putting up with our nonsense. Can't wait for episode 3. And yeah. So Jared, any last thoughts?
I look forward to actually being able to heckle your gameplay because it's so much fun.
All right. So this has been Nick from the Phoenix Press, and remember, I can only show you the door. You are the one who has to walk through it. Thank you for coming by, everyone. You are